Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. It's a motorcycle racing TV show. For YouTube, I'm putting this clip together. Not only are we going to talk about what's going on at the show here, we're going to look in the past to some of the old footage, because I've been coming to this show since it's been in Rosemont since at least 1990 and maybe earlier than that. But I'm also going to show some pictures from the motorcycle show at the old amphitheater, Evel Knievel jumping. My bike was in the show. I'm going to show you some of the pictures there. So it's going to be pretty interesting in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And don't forget my email to contact me. It's teamdan45@gmail.com, and let me know what you think of this clip. As we scan the Donald Stevens Center in Rosemont, Illinois for the 2020 motorcycle show, let's jump back to the past, 1993, when the Team Chicago bikes were in the Yamaha booth.
My name's Dan Schmitt, and this is Team Chicago Challenge. We're at the Chicagoland Motorcycle Show at Rosemont Expo Center, and this happens to be show number 250. For the last 5 years, I've been producing motorcycle shows from the Midwest. I've been going to Groton Raceway, Blackhawk, covering the ice racing. And I'll tell you, I've had a great time doing 250 TV shows. And before I talk anymore, let me thank some of the people that have been really helpful in getting the production done. People like Groton Raceway, Blackhawk Farms, AMA CCS have really helped make this show possible and helped me bring motorcycle racing to the people that live in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, West Michigan, and Ohio in the Columbus area. And I also want to thank the show management. The show was put on by Advanced Star, and it's been sponsored by Isuzu and Cycle World Magazine, and they were real helpful. And Yamaha, can't forget Yamaha, because they helped me give me the spot in the show. And in fact, I've got my new 93 FZR that we're going to be racing, so we'll be running 2 FZRs this year. And so I want you to tune in every week. We're going to continue on. This year is going to be more interesting than ever.
Can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Yes, 1993 was a great year for Team Chicago. You can see we have the 2 Team Chicago race bikes right in with Yamaha. Back in '93, Yamaha really did appreciate Team Chicago, and I was working with the local rep who went on to become the general manager of Yamaha, and that was Dennis McNeil. But we were in a big panic to get this bike together. We just picked up the new 93 FZR on Monday, and it had to be at the show by Thursday. So I was working with Ron Hedlund, who had Vespa of Chicago on Clark Street, and he volunteered to do the painting. So hats off to Ron. He did a great job. We got both of these bikes, the 1989 and the 1993 FZR, done, painting the frame, painting the fiberglass. It was a lot of work, but it really paid off, because those 2 bikes really looked great in the 1993 motorcycle show. And now Heidi's gonna ask that famous question.
Hi, I'm Heidi Hagenson, and can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Thank you, Heidi. Now in this year's show, 2020, Yamaha again showed the Yamaha Niken that was introduced last year in 2019. The Niken has 2 front wheels, and Yamaha states that the leaning multi-wheel technology delivers a high feeling of stability on various road surfaces. This system provides unparalleled rider's confidence. It doubles the amount of available grip. In 1993, Yamaha introduced the GTS 1000, and Tony Dice from Yamaha is going to tell us all about this modern bike.
I'm with Tony Dice, who is the Yamaha tech advisor for the Midwest. And if you've seen the last race at Blackhawk, this guy owns the 750 Yamaha OW01 that Dr. Bob was riding, and you took the rider school at Blackhawk Farms too, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Was that the first time you ever road raced or got a chance to ride your bike fast on a racetrack?
Yes, it was. I've road raced YSR 50s for the last 4 years, and then that was the first time on a big bike on a big track.
And it's your bike, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Bob's going to be riding it again this year?
We're Formula USA events,
Okay.
just a selected few.
Okay, so you're the guy they told me I should talk to about this radically new idea that Yamaha has finally come out with on a street bike. And if you've been paying attention to your motorcycle magazines over the last 10 years, this is based on the RADD design. That was an American that designed it. So why don't you give me a little background information?
Well, James Parker basically designed this whole system, and he tried to sell it to a bunch of different manufacturers and stuff, and eventually got some people in Yamaha interested in this, John Porter being the person that he really got excited about the whole idea. Through a lot of testing and development and stuff, they eventually came out with this design, and it's basically a car-style front end for a motorcycle.
Right, because you got like a single swing arm here, you got the shock here, but it's a center hub steering, which would be sort of like the new front-wheel drive cars have this kind of a hub steering, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the design is basically the same as a car. It uses a center hub steer just exactly like a car would be. It has parallel arms, or in the car world it's a double parallel A-frame type suspension system. And it uses a telescoping three-sided bar to use for steering.
Okay, and the one advantage compared to regular forks, like on my FZRs, is that when you put on the brakes with the forks, the front end dives, and that sort of changes the geometry of your turning. Whereas with this setup, when you're putting on the front brakes, you won't get the dive, so your front geometry basically stays the same?
Yeah, the chassis length or wheelbase never changes on this motorcycle. It moves in a parallel universe, so to speak, and it just moves up and down. It also separates all the inputs, steering, braking, and suspension. So that's its biggest advantage. It doesn't affect the motorcycle whether you're turning or whether you're braking. And going over bumps in the middle of corners, from my experience, it just doesn't shake.
Okay, and you have rode this?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and how do you compare it? Is it obviously?
It's different from the standpoint that it doesn't give the same inputs back as a motorcycle with forks. It doesn't steer the same, it doesn't feel the same, but it does give input, and you do have some destiny over where the motorcycle is going to go.
Okay, so maybe the new FZRs in 1994, 95 might have something like this, do you think?
That's too hard to say at this point. I know some other things going on in the industry, but as far as this being adapted to the FZRs right away, I don't know. More than likely, this will probably be in production for a couple years before they decide to put it on anything else, to make sure that it's in the U.S., the laws and everything, and liability is very high compared to other countries, and they want to make sure that everything's perfect, per se.
Right. Okay. Let's go see what Christine has to say about Team Chicago.
Hi, I'm Christine Stemmer, and can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Thank you, Christine. And now we're going to jump back to 1972. This is my custom Triumph Bonneville that I put together. But at the same time, I was starting the motorcycle shop, Daniel's Competition Motorcycles. And I got into racing. So after I built this beautiful Triumph Bonneville, there was no reason to keep it because I was going to do more racing than riding on the street. But the motorcycle shows back then were held at the Chicago Amphitheater, which is by the Chicago Stockyards. One of the buildings as part of that complex was approximately 25 feet high and approximately 2 blocks long, and that is where they held the motorcycle show. And they also had Evel Knievel jumping motorcycles at that show. Evel could only jump, I believe it was 7 bands because of the low ceiling height. Evil would have had to jump higher to clear more vans, and there was no room for him to jump any higher. Here is a picture of Evil jumping in 1971. Now he jumped in 1971, he jumped in 72, and again in 1973, he came back again and jumped vans at the amphitheater. I was at all three of those shows. Now I have a sad story to report about America's museum, the Smithsonian Institute. They have an article about Fonzie's jacket, which is now in the Smithsonian. But the story to go along with it talks about jumping the shark. They attribute that term, jump the shark, to Fonzie and Happy Days. In reality, it was Evel Knievel that was jumping the shark, and that is where the term officially comes from. But because the folks at the Smithsonian are so polluted with their leftist ideal, they tend to get many, many stories wrong. A simple Google search with the term jump the shark would have turned them on to a story by Steve Mandage. Steve reported about jumping the shark. It was 1977. Evel Knievel made a deal to jump a tank of sharks at the amphitheater. Now he was going to enter the amphitheater from Halsted Street. This is the arena. Jump the shark tank, and then the slowdown ramp would go up to the balcony. The story was easily found by Googling Jump the Shark. It is the story of Evel Knievel, and this may have been one of his last hurrahs because he had a deal with CBS for a 90-minute show. Evel got injured in the practice run, and there was no jump for the TV show. As we will see in this photo, this was the arrangement. Evel would have entered from Halsted Street into the arena, jumped the shark tank, and then the slowdown would be that ramp going up. After jumping the shark tank in practice, he went off the side and crashed into a cameraman. Jump the shark means you are now in a failing situation. And now Fawn is going to ask that famous question.
Fawn Hawkins, and can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Thank you, Fawn. And now we're going to jump ahead to the show in 1994. We're starting out by showing the Team Chicago FZR, that's Dave Hendrickson, leading. This is the first race that he led the race, and I think he finished second overall in a 25-lap race. But we want to show the FZR because I have a contest for designers. Let's hear about that contest.
In order to celebrate show number 300, I've come up with a great contest idea that I'm going to ask you to join me in designing and coming up with a new color scheme for Team Chicago for 1994. So my idea is this: if you're a designer or an art student and you think you could come up with a better color scheme for the Team Chicago bikes for 1994, call me at 312-539-4600 or leave a message, and I'll call you back and I'll give you an address where you can send your designs in. And I can't really give out any prizes. There's no prizes, but what we will do is we'll come and do a show with you and work on the designs for the bike. But they got to be practical designs. They got to be something that can be easily painted on the bike, and something where the Team Chicago name will be outstanding.
Hi, I'm Kathy DeWitt. Can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Thank you, Kathy, and all the beautiful Hooter gals. Well, that's going to wrap up this clip for YouTube. I had a great time in 19 1993 and 1994. Now take it away.
Can you meet the Team Chicago Challenge?
Well, that's it from the 1993 motorcycle show. Special thanks to Mitch Fields from Northern Illinois, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Ducati for bringing the Hooter girls out there. And thank you, Fawn, Christine, Kathy, and Heidi. This has been show number 250, and you've made it one of the best ever. Music by Mike Preetz, recorded at Fireside Studio, Westchester, Illinois.
As we approach show number 1500, for more information on the International Motorcycle Shows, their website is motorcycleshows.com. And you can contact me at teamdan45@gmail.com. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action. Dan Schmitt Politics to learn what makes America great.